All right, two stories for you out of California, which had happy endings. Criminals get shot by law-abiding citizens. Let's check it out.
Home invasion robbery turns into a violent confrontation in Valley Village when the homeowner opens fire, shooting one of the suspects. The wounded suspect was rushed to the hospital along with the homeowner, who was hurt during the incident.
The second suspect escaped. Chris Wolf live in Valley Village with the latest on what happened. Chris.
Micah and Cher, police just opened up this area, this neighborhood. Investigators spent the last several hours collecting evidence, interviewing witnesses. This is a case where a would-be victim of a home invasion robbery turned the tables on the intruders, critically injuring one of them.
It says home invasion turns violent, but home invasions are violent anyway. Anyway, let's keep going.
Quiet neighborhood in Valley Village turned chaotic and bloody shortly after 3 p.m. Monday afternoon. Los Angeles police say that's when two young men broke into or somehow entered a home on Addison Street near the intersection with Colfax Avenue. What happened next is likely something they did not expect.
Two suspects entered a residence with an occupant inside. That occupant armed himself with a handgun and fired at the potential burglars that were inside of his home.
Bullets critically injured one of the intruders, who collapsed at the scene. His accomplice bolted, and officers from the LAPD's North Hollywood division quickly launched a search by air and on the ground with canine units, among other resources. Authorities believe a getaway driver may have been in the mix, but that individual and any others involved in the crime were not found. The victim was somehow injured during the encounter, taken to the hospital in stable condition. His weapon.
It's a semi-automatic. It's not a revolver. It's a semi-automatic handgun.
Apparently dozens of children were at a church and school across the street and were placed on lockdown as authorities warned others nearby to lock their doors and windows and stay inside. We are not identifying a couple of teenagers who live in the neighborhood. Kind of put you on edge now?
Yeah, definitely.
100%. We went to school all along the street, and for so long, we've seen kids, people walk their dogs here all the time. People think it's a great neighborhood. I would agree with that. And it's just really shocking to see in broad daylight something like this right across from where we've done a ton of plays here, and his brother was at camp here today.
I just can't even think of that.
A little bit of fear still going on in the community. We have some older neighbors who live here, so I've been texting and messaging them. They're on complete lockdown. They don't feel comfortable coming out right now.
Police believe at least two men connected to this crime are still out there, still on the run. Anyone with information should contact the LAPD. For now, reporting live.
All right, that's the first story for you, but that's why it is so important for people to arm themselves at the minimum inside of your home because of situations like this. 3 p.m., broad daylight, somebody comes into your home, and you have to be able to defend yourself. And I'm glad that it's unfortunate that these things happen, but it's good that the citizens are fighting back. I've seen a lot of stories like this recently over the past year or so. Various states, Florida especially, and Texas. Obviously here in Texas, a lot of citizens arm themselves and defend themselves. But I've been seeing a lot out of California lately. A lot of Californians are protecting themselves. They're fighting back more often. They're shooting criminals, and they're defending their homes and their families. And that's a good thing because people don't feel safe right now. They don't. I know there been some statistics or some reports that certain police departments are not really reporting everything to the FBI. And a lot of this crime is going unheard of. They're not being reported. So let's go to the next story right here.
Now, a murder investigation out of Glendale. A man was shot.
And I used to live in the San Fernando Valley, so this is not far from where I lived as a kid.
And killed in the middle of the street late last night. NBC4's Anastasia Olmos live right now in Glendale to explain why police are looking for the shooter, who they say, now the shooter, is actually the victim here, Anastasia?
That's right, Colleen. Police spent all night trying to piece together what took place here. Initially, some people thought that it was an incident of road rage, but now police are saying that the two people that they are looking for are actually the victims of a robbery, and the man who was shot and killed in the street here was the one trying to rob them. Just before 11 Sunday night, families in the quiet neighborhood of Glendale North heard a series of gunshots.
I heard 3 loud pops, and I live with my windows open, and it scared the crap out of the cats.
Police say several people called 911, more than a dozen neighbors stepping outside to find paramedics performing CPR on a man in the middle of Dryden Street near Brand Boulevard.
I saw the EMT do the chest compressions, like furiously, had no idea what was going on, and then a minute later they're covering him with a sheet.
While Glendale police aren't able to tell us who the man is, they say their investigation revealed the man was armed and was attempting to rob 2 people sitting in an SUV when the driver shot and killed him.
It is a bit of a bizarre situation. You typically don't see that happening.
Police say the shooter and a passenger in the SUV drove off. They're now looking for them, but they say not as suspects facing any murder charges.
Everything's possible, but at this point, it appears that they are victims.
People we spoke with in the community today want to know the full story, but they say if the victims were in fact held at gunpoint, they support fighting back.
I would say they have to. I would say they have to. Because crime is getting really crazy everywhere.
We asked police what people can and should do in situations like this when they can't call 911.
That's a tough question to answer. If somebody finds themselves in a situation where their life is in danger or someone else's life is in danger, I, as a community member, as a citizen, would do whatever I could to protect myself and anybody else. So you are responsible ultimately for the actions that you commit, but if it's a life or death situation, that's going to be a judgment call on that person.
There you go.
The sergeant adds that anyone who carries and uses a gun is holding a very big responsibility. They are asking anyone with information as well as the shooter and the passenger to contact police. Reporting.
And yes, it is a very big responsibility when you own a gun and when you carry a gun and you use that firearm. When I took my firearm training class, my concealed carry class here in Texas, the instructor did say that is a very big responsibility. When you pull out that firearm and you shoot somebody, it's a game changer. It's a very big responsibility for you. You have to be prepared for what comes after that. If people may try to sue you, whatever, even if it's self-defense, you still have to be prepared for what's going to come. But it's better that versus if it's self-defense, and more likely you will be off the hook, at least from what I understand. But if you're in a situation like this and the police officer said, yeah, if it's a life or death situation, then it's up to the person who is being attacked or the victim to make that the judgment call on themselves. That's a call they have to make. And you heard the lady in the video say that she totally supports them defending themselves because crime is crazy. And I'm hearing this a lot in a lot of videos I see. A lot of anecdotal evidence from citizens themselves saying that crime is getting out of control, whether it be LA, whether it's New York, Houston, these big cities, crime is a problem. And there is a way to stop it. There's a way to cut down on the crime. And I was watching a video recently, and I've heard this before, where it's only a select few of a small percentage of criminals in these major cities that are causing much of the mayhem, a lot of the chaos. It's about 7% of criminals committing 50% of the crimes, is what I believe the statistic was. And if you go after these big drug organizations, these ringleaders, and you go after gun-toting felons, you're going to cut the murder rate down by a lot. Drug crimes goes down by a lot because you catch the big fish, then he will give up somebody else and give up somebody else who may have been involved in the shooting. If somebody's involved in the shooting, they get arrested, and he may give up 2 or 3 more people that have been involved. So that's why it is very important to go after felons that People have already committed crimes who are still out in the streets toting guns and shooting people and robbing people. You go after these people, you go after these big drug people, then then the crime will be reduced dramatically. And law enforcement has to work hand in hand with the judicial system, with district attorneys and judges. Work hand in hand, work together, and go after these people because they can both share information with each other. And it's going to take a New York City type situation. When Rudy Giuliani got elected because crime got so out of control in New York City, the citizens had enough. They elected Giuliani, and then he won again in a landslide. So he won 2 terms. He cleaned up crime. He put in new policies to go after criminals, to lower crime, and it worked. And now we're seeing crime go up again. I see reports out of the Bronx, out of Manhattan, broad daylight things are happening, and it shouldn't be that way. I think crime is safety is a top issue. People have to feel safe in their communities. Where I live, it's extremely safe because the police do great work and they go after criminals. They go after the big fish. They patrol the streets. They work hand in hand with the community, with people in the city, and it works well. We have a great city council who vet police officers very well. They hire the best of the best. And that's how they keep crime down. And they don't put up with mess. They don't put up with nonsense. You steal something from a store, you go to jail. They send a very strong message. Also, a lot of crime is committed by people in their teens and early 20s. You lock them up for 5 years or more, if somebody commits a crime early on, 19 years old, for example, and you lock them up for 10 years, they're less likely to go out and do it again, from my understanding. Longer, harsher sentences, locking people up works. It really does. So kudos to these people out here in California doing their thing, defending themselves, and taking a couple of thugs off the streets. I mean, look, if the police can't get there, if crime is getting out of control, and you don't have time to wait for the police, or they just don't show up. I saw a story in Oakland where the police didn't show up to this guy's business. He was being ransacked by thugs. A situation like that, and you have to make a decision, you have to teach these criminals a lesson yourselves. Yeah. But I'm going to leave the video right there. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Thank you. Take care.